Have you ever watched the snowflakes fall from the sky? How often have you taken a moment to truly study them, to look at their shapes and forms, to compare them with others? There are some interesting things to be learned in the study of snowflakes. Lessons that are relatable to the study of human beings, commonalities between snowflakes and people you may have never before considered. I fully realize that analogies can fail, or perhaps just do not go far enough in making the point, but I consider this analogy which I am about to put forth a good one. Not perfect, but relatable. But let me back up a bit. When I first stumbled upon this idea of personality typing, I wasn't sure what to think of it. I know many people struggle with typing systems in general because they believe it puts people in a box, or it's too limiting, or they believe it doesn't make sense. For instance, having a finite number of types in a world full of people. So it got me thinking, how can there be a finite number of types in a world of so many people? And while I was debating this in my mind, it was winter, and as my natural proclivity is, I was subconsciously relating my thought to nature, or to what I was seeing around me in nature, because I see a lot of parallels between nature and our thought processes, and just life in general, to keep it simple. So it was winter, and I was observing snowflakes. I was thinking about my type, the INFJ, and of course I had read all the special snowflake statements out there, so just that alone, that phrase, made me more deeply consider the snowflake. My intuition just led me to start studying snowflakes. And I will spare you all the details of that study because it's not all relevant here, but I believe I came away from it with a very interesting insight. We have all heard how every snowflake is unique, that no two are alike. Upon first glance, one would agree. However, this is not completely true. Further study teaches us that even though all snowflakes are unique, the types of snowflakes are not infinite in number. So even though each snowflake is different and unique, there are not infinite types of snowflakes. There are roughly 35 types in the world of snowflakes. The number is not unlimited. So every snowflake that falls from the ground fits into a certain type. Each type has defining characteristics, so you can connect them that way, but they look different. And within those types are common types and rare types. But even within the types, there are great variations, making each snowflake beautiful and unique, no matter how common or rare. I find this very interesting, because when you start studying nature, you do see it organized by systems, by type. Whatever you believe about origins of life, types do exist in nature. Bear with me through my miniature science lesson here. I promise it does have a point. There are over 120,000 types of flies, some common, some rare. That's a large number, but it is still limited. Most of us would disregard flies as useless pests, but if you study flies, you soon come to see that they are very useful in this ecological system. They fulfill such roles as pollinators, prey, parasites, predators, and decomposers. There are roughly 35,000 types of spiders, some common, some rare. Again, a large number, but still finite in scope. One of their roles is obvious to most. They keep insect populations under control. But did you know research is being done with spider venom and its possible usage in treating strokes and muscular dystrophy, as well as being utilized as a painkiller? There are roughly 10,000 types of birds, some common, some rare. Birds are pollinators. Like the spider, they also keep insect populations under control, but they also eat seeds and disperse them in their waste, ensuring the survival of certain plant species. They are a food source to others and inspirational beings to many. Typing is a system, and the entire universe is systematically arranged, including humankind. I want to know how we, as humans, think we are any different. We too are organized in a system, by type, with diverse and important roles to fulfill in society. So I believe that typing has merit as a valid system, but only insofar as it helps you to understand who you are and how to relate to others so you can find your place in the hive. So now let's move on to the whole common versus rare issue. The problem with addressing these topics lies in the terms common and rare. The terminology is problematic, but only because of the negative connotations the words have taken on. Rare conjures up images of set-apart specialness. Common almost seems to be a dirty word, but it's language. It's what we have, and it's our agreed-upon talking point, the defining of terms. So I will proceed by still using the terms common and rare, but acknowledging the struggle in using them. The fact that there are rare and common types in this world is true because it makes sense from a logical standpoint. Not because we want it to be true, or because it's true because it's cool, or because we believe it so we can be validated. It makes sense from a rational basis. I believe we should talk about rarity, but see it in its appropriate light. When I hear people saying they don't believe in this notion of rarity in personality typing, I have to question if it has been thought through logically. My guess is it has not. Think about it. In order to make a rare category no longer rare, you have to take numbers from a common category. So which common category is now more rare? The problem is, we want to counter-correct everything we perceive wrong in the world. We hear terms such as special snowflake and see in this the putting down of others or the elevating in status of a certain type. And while I understand people's hearts and wanting to right the wrongs, we sometimes end up going too far in the correction. And as a result, because we get our emotions involved, we swing too far on the other side of the pendulum, losing the balance, which is the voice of reason. I can understand why people get upset at how others use misunderstandings of concepts to divide us as people, but you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. There are some types which are rare, and others which are common, and there's a reason for it. We should not be disregarding the fact that there are rare and common types at some whitewashed attempt at making us all the same. We are not. And we should start seeing the usefulness in those differences. We are not all the same. Some of us belong to a rarer type, some to a more common one. However, scarcity in people does not determine value, as we learned from the first video in the series about the queen bee. Common in people does not mean boring or mundane. It's okay to admit that we are different. It's illogical to say we are not. To erase the dividing lines and come to the conclusion that we are all the same does not make sense. Yes, there are dividers, but in the end, it's how we treat those divisions. If we use them to divide us in a way which is harmful, that is wrong. We are different, but we should not be using those things as a source of contention. So, how can you become a special snowflake, no matter which type you are? I believe the first step is in honestly admitting and understanding your strengths as well as your limitations. Sometimes your weakness can be your strength. I am sensitive, which if taken too far makes me a people pleaser, but in balance makes me great with people. Be realistic in what you can possibly attain in life, and I'll speak a little bit more on this in the next video. So one of the most important first steps is to begin the process of understanding yourself. But remember, even though it's a great first step, this alone does not make you special. In order to be special, you have to actually use the gifts for which you were designed. You need to do the work you are supposed to do. So you must start by learning about yourself and then applying what you've learned on a greater scale.